working on college planning and college funding for about 5 years. I originally got into it because my wife and I were foster parents and have an adopted little boy. And in the state of Texas, any kids coming out of foster care or CPS protection get tuition waivers, and really got my interest. And I figured if I didn't know that, what else don't I know? So I started studying, and then I met fantastic people like Dan and Rinda and the rest of the team at CAP, and want to share what I've learned. So that's me.
Thanks. What about you,
And
Dan?
hey, everybody, I'm Dan Bissig. So I was a financial planner for 25 years, and then I have been an independent educational counselor for the past 17 years. Love talking about everything college. Super excited to be with my two friends here this evening as we try to dive into your questions. Hope you have some questions. We see we've got one in the Q&A right now, but throw them at us. We're going to do our best to try to help you if we can to guide you through this wild and crazy process.
Hey, and I appreciate the person who already put a question in Q&A. Do put your questions in Q&A, because that's where we're gonna get them and handle them one by one. Don't use the chat. If you don't mind, you can use the chat for other things if you want, but questions go in the Q&A. I appreciate that. And also just a reminder that this isn't the best forum to answer more detailed questions or deeper questions. So if you ask a question that this isn't the right forum for, we'll let you know. All right, let's see, Chuck, you want to take it away with the first question?
Sure. So let's see. My senior got accepted to his early decision school. Congratulations. That's awesome, which is fantastic, though they turned down our application for financial aid. Not a surprise. We had sent them a CSS profile and some other school-specific documents. Is there any reason to fill out the FAFSA and submit it to the school? Well, I'm pretty opinionated on this. I think everybody should complete the FAFSA for a number of reasons, not rules. Number one, if there's any possibility that you're going to have to borrow throughout the entire 4 years or longer of college, the federal direct student loans are use it or lose it loans. And if you don't file, you can't use them. That's a reminder. It's $5,500 your freshman year, $6,500 sophomore, $7,500 junior and senior year. Some schools require the FAFSA for scholarships. And in my practice, I've had a family who was an exceptionally high earning family, but they were also exceptionally high spenders, and dad passed away suddenly, and they lost their entire income, and mom had no means to pay for college because they were spending everything they made. So just a number of reasons that I think you should complete it, and I don't think there's ever a downside to it. So yes, please complete it.
Awesome. All right, Dan.
Oh, you're gonna let me take this next one, huh? Oh,
Yeah.
filled out my part of the FAFSA application and waited for my mom to fill hers. And as soon as she pressed to sign hers, I get an email that my application was submitted without my signature. Received the following response from FAFSA and can't talk to chat with them. Any input when they will allow a student to sign the FAFSA. So here's the deal, folks. I had a similar situation. I had a family I was working with just the other day where the student was zipping through. By the way, word of advice, when you're doing this, students, take your time. Okay. If you click something wrong, there's a strong possibility that you're going to run into some issues. By the way, folks, put your questions in the Q&A. Do not put them in the chat. We won't be looking at the chat. Put them in the Q&A. But here's the thing. Take your time, because in this case, the student thought that they clicked something wrong. And after two, not one, but after two 1.5 hour phone conversations with the FAFSA helpline people, trying to figure out why it wasn't showing that they had signed their FAFSA, which they did. He signed his student side, the parent signed the parent side, but then it kicked back and said that they hadn't signed it. But I'm here to tell you that after that, they were able to get on and confirm, yes, that you have indeed signed this, but we can't give you what your SAI, your estimated student aid index amount is going to be until the end of January. And so if you're in that boat, you may have to wait that long. You may have to wait until they finally get around to what's called the release of the student aid report We're pretty sure that's what it's still going to be called, the SAR. And anyway, you'll have to wait until that takes place to be able to see what's going on. So unfortunately, that may be the same situation as far as what's been asked here.
Gotcha. Thanks, Dan. Okay, next question. Hold on, I'm getting confused with the questions here. Does the change in reporting grandparents 529 also affect when is the best strategy for withdrawals? Well, it can. It certainly can, because again, this is one of those things that the best strategy for withdrawals might be different for different families. It's going to partly be determined by whether or not you're going to need to take any student loans at all, for one thing. And as might have already been said, you need to start taking those from the beginning if you're going to need to take them, because it's use it or lose it. I think those are that's your catchphrase, Chuck. Use it or lose it on the FAFSA loan, federal student loans. So it depends on that partially, and also on, the amount of assets that a family has. But you no longer need to wait until the last 2 years in order for the grandparents 529 money to come through to prevent what we used to call the untaxed income kind of penalty that students would get if they got that money earlier. So does anybody have anything to add? If not, I will pass that one.
I think it's good. Home run.
Me too.
All right, let's keep it going.
You want to go, Dan, or you want me to?
You're up. Go for it.
All right. All the calculators tell me we do not have financial need. So do I really still need to file the FAFSA? Well, I guess congratulations for not having financial need. But yeah, I go back to the earlier question. I would say I still think it's a good idea. You never know when things could change. What if somebody in the house got laid off during the school year? Is there a chance that you might be applying for other scholarships that would be relevant? There's a lot of reasons to do it. I think you should. And really, it's not that big of a time commitment. I don't see any negative. I doubt it's going to impact your ability for admissions to a school. There's just very few reasons why you wouldn't want to do it. So I would encourage you to do it.
I concur. Yeah. I mean, look, here's the deal. Like you were just saying, things happen. I mean, in the years that I've been coaching families, I've had parents die, become disabled, lose their businesses, through bankruptcy, all kinds of stuff, right? And man, when that happens, that is a catastrophic effect potentially on college funding in general. So,
And the reason that matters, in case it wasn't said or you missed it, is because some schools require you to file financial aid forms from the beginning.
Yeah.
If you want to get aid, let's say in your junior year, and you didn't file your freshman and sophomore year, some schools won't let you get need-based aid at that point. So
I think it's either Columbia or NYU is one of those schools.
Yep. Okay. If the 529 is super funded, can you withdraw any amount in 1 year, or is it limited? So the super funding is, the contribution side of the 529. Withdrawals would be totally separate from that. I've never heard of it. If there any state that had any restrictions on withdrawals related to super funding.
Yeah, I would chime in and say, I think there's some explicit rules around specific situations, right? Like you can now withdraw from a 529 for K through 12 tuition expenses. And I want to say that's limited to $10,000 a year. I think if you're withdrawing to pay student loan debt, I think that's also limited to $10,000 a year. And then, in theory, you can only withdraw to pay qualified educational expenses. So you'd want to go to the IRS webpage and determine exactly what qualified educational expenses are, so you don't take out money to pay for something that's not qualified. So that would be the only thing I'd add.
Thanks.
Okay, I think this next one's mine. We're in the process of filling out the FAFSA form for my daughter, who's currently a senior graduating in May 2024. We have a question regarding UGMA and UTMA accounts. And Chuck, and actually both of you, I may get your feedback here. I'm the owner of several accounts for the benefit of my kids, including the current senior. I understand my daughter has to report the balance of the account on her form. You're absolutely correct. That's right. That's her asset, not yours, even though, I mean, the idea there is when the student is of the age of majority and graduated or whatever, that money's going to become hers anyway. So, but do we, the parent, have to report the balance of the other kids' accounts as our assets? Because they're also UGMA, UTMA accounts for their benefit. Good question. Thoughts, guys?
I mean, if you follow the logic of the UGMA being an asset of the student, then the other UGMAs should be the assets of the other students. That would be.
And I'm going to share my screen if you guys don't mind, because I'm logged into the FAFSA right now.
Beautiful.
Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
So you'll notice investments don't include UTMA accounts for which the student is the custodian but not the owner. So I don't, that's not super clear, but I think it's trying to imply what Rinda was saying.
And was that page on the parent asset?
Oh, here.
That was information box for the parent assets or the student assets?
Actually, that was from the student. Let me see if I can get to the parent real quick. And this one, it's not gonna it's grayed out because the invitation's already been sent. Sorry, I thought I'd be
No worries. Okay, the next one, can you get federal loans with no financial need? Yes, the loans do not depend on need. So if you fall into the category, you know, the qualify as a student, has nothing to do with whether you need money or not. But there is a limit. So if your schools cost 200,000, you're not going to get 200,000 in federal student loans as an undergrad. So just keep that in mind.
Am I up?
You are.
All right. Hi, almost done with FAFSA and getting caught up in the small business net worth. Do they look at net worth as an asset that is calculated at the 5% similar to cash savings? Ironically enough, we were all just chatting about this right before this call started. And it's more like our progressive tax system. They look at the valuation. So businesses valued between 1 and 140,000 get a certain valuation. Above 140,000 to 415 get a certain valuation. 415 to 695 get another valuation, and then the highest marginal bracket is 695. So yeah, it depends, and we can probably find a link to Google that if you need to track it down. I think somebody on our team might have written an incredible article about it. I don't know who that would be.
Yeah, I wonder who that could be.
I'm getting it. I'm getting it.
Yeah. So anyway, I hope that answers your question. I see one in the chat. It says, will MyCap create a video showing a walkthrough of the new FAFSA? I believe Peg is actually going to do that pretty soon, but we're kind of having some challenges with both access and everybody needing to get in right now. So it'll probably be delayed a little bit, but yes, you can look forward to that. And I suspect it'll be done before January when the FAFSA sends the information to the schools. So just hang tight.
I think it was on our to-do list today.
Right. And also don't forget there's a presentation that they're doing
Oh,
Also.
tomorrow night. We're supposed to
Yeah.
share that link.
You got it. I'll copy that and stick that in there.
I have it in
Oh, do
my,
you? Okay, great.
hold on, I'll do that. I meant to do that every time I was talking. I'm gonna put
We're
that in
s-
the chat.
Yeah, make sure you send it to everyone and not just panelists.
Yeah, thanks. This link should get you to the registration page to sign up for that.
Yeah, that would definitely be worthwhile for you to attend. As they have some other follow-up details on that.
All right.
Brenda, you want to do the next?
Yeah, sorry. I was just pulling up that article that had the business valuation levels.
I'll take this one while you're looking for it if you want.
I've got it. I'm gonna put it in the chat, but you can go ahead, Chuck,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
What's the best strategy for merit scholarships if you don't think you'll be eligible for need-based aid? Student has high GPA and average PSAT scores, planning to complete FAFSA anyway. So, I mean, when it comes to merit-based financial aid, about 85% of the scholarship or discount dollars come from the schools directly themselves. So the biggest thing is going to be building a good school list, right? It's not as simple as saying, like my daughter, I love her to death, but she wants to go to University of Auburn or Tennessee, and those may not be the schools that are willing to give her the most aid for her unique grades and test score combination. So I'd really encourage you to use the MyCap advanced search function. Search for the schools that will give you the biggest scholarships or the lowest net cost, and that's how I would try to find the best deals there. Has a high GPA. Yeah, so and definitely complete the FAFSA. Anything else to add, guys?
Well, just don't forget about the additional merit scholarship search tool, the private scholarship search tool that's on your MyCap account as well. That's another way to find some of these private opportunities. Again, as Chuck said, the biggest deal, of course, is that the big money is going to come from those colleges, but you've got the ability to actually go down and click on that, search for scholarships. If you need bigger money, you've got the ability to actually search that way over based on amount. You can actually, strictly go off of the larger amounts of benefits. And you can see it's 142 pages long. And then when you shrink it down based on the amounts, it'll go down to say 44 pages of
Yes,
5,000 to 10,000 and so forth. So it's all about being proactive. Also look at and focus on local scholarships through your high school, through your community. If you're really trying to find the lowest hanging fruit, that's probably going to be the best resource for sure.
And I don't know about you guys with the families that I work with, I do an hour just on if they want it. If they're interested in private scholarships, I'll do an hour just on helping I have a spreadsheet that I use to help them get organized and helping families know how much how to get started. Like you were saying, start with your high school guidance counselor, start with the local communities. And then where do you go from there and how do you stay on track? But the name of the game is like have a set time to, like schedule an appointment with yourself regularly to work on it, keep everything organized in one place and, have some kind of process so that when you sit down to work on it, you know exactly what you need to do that day and you can get some stuff done because it's time consuming. All right. FAFSA question. My daughter started the application and thought we completed it. Is there another step that the parent needs to do? I didn't get any confirmation through my email address. How do we know the application status? Well, I'm not sure from the question if you walk through all the steps, but they are basically, let your student log in using their FSA ID and complete their piece of the process. One part of that is to enter the contact information of the parents so that they can be invited. The student can walk through their process, which basically I think goes through listing all the schools that they want the FAFSA to be sent to, and then signing it. But once you fill in your parents' information, the parent will get an email inviting them to complete their portion of the FAFSA. So then the parent logs in, they have a whole nother set of questions that you as the parent will answer those questions. And then when you're done, you submit that. And then at that point, when both the student and the parent have submitted their individual sections, that's when it should be complete. And then the email, if the essay, if the student aid index has been calculated or not, it's the student is the one that's been getting the notification email, sometimes pretty quickly after it's done. I've also heard of cases where, an email was not forthcoming for a long time. So we're kind of in that period of time where, there may be some differences in experience with that.
Yeah, the only thing I'd add is make sure that your student clicks this. Are you guys seeing my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, make sure the student clicks the invite parent button. Even if they put the information and forget to send that invite, it might be part of the problem. And I've also had an issue where in the parent's FSA ID, there was a preceding blank space before their email address, and like it never linked up. So just double check that all the specifics are correct.
Yep.
Okay, let me do this one. Does anybody know what goes on behind the scenes when appeal decisions are made? That sounds like the Wizard of Oz, doesn't it? Is it one person deciding? Is it possible that one person would say no, but another person might say yes on another day? Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure whatever the decision is pretty final for the day that they actually review that appeal. But there's no doubt that sometimes it goes to committee where they would be sitting down and talking about the case. In other cases, they do. There's a person that's assigned to a particular set of of students and dealing with the appeals in that process. So, but yeah, unfortunately, it's not that, from day to day, you could check back in, sort of kind of what you have to do, or what we've had to do in the past with the folks at the FAFSA hotline to see if you get a different answer both times that you call and talk to somebody. But unfortunately, it's a pretty firm answer in that particular case. Do you guys have any other thoughts?
I mean, the school is equipped to, or is afforded the ultimate decision-making power. So there's no appeal. You can't go to the president of the university or the Department of Education. And once it comes down, it's done. Do I need to fill out the FAFSA twice if I have 2 kids in college? The answer is yes. Even if they're going to the same school, they're different students, so they should each have their own unique FSA ID. They need to complete that. Now, if you've done your FSA ID, it'll populate your parental information, and then when you click the buttons, it'll pull in your tax information, but you will have to complete it twice.
All right, I think we're going in reverse order now, and I like that because I really like this next question. College Aid Pro had a webinar on how to fill out the old FAFSA application. Do you offer a webinar on how to complete the new FAFSA application? And this might have been typed in before we talked about this, but I'll mention it one more time. There is a webinar happening tomorrow, and I put a link in there, although I didn't really label what the link was. In the chat there, let's see, should I put it in there again?
I'll repost it.
Oh, thank you. Chuck's going to repost it. It is a link to the sign up page for the webinar that's happening tomorrow. And also there, our colleague Peg is going to be, if she hasn't done it already, she's going to be taping a line by line. What do we call a webinar? What does she call that? A video that will be posted on our website, and it will be posted probably on YouTube. But it will definitely be on our website. So you can go check that out probably next week sometime is my guess when that might come out. Or maybe this week. What's today? Monday. Maybe this week. Who knows?
It may happen. Yeah.
I mean, it's not Friday yet.
All right. Let's see here. FYI, as I was filling out the FAFSA parent section, I added another nationality and it would not save the form. Once I deleted the added entry, I was able to save the form. Glitch. Yep, that's what that sure sounds like, is a glitch. I mean, let me tell you that the stories we've been hearing, in some cases, students don't have the asset spot to fill in. In other cases, they've got, this was a doozy, folks. I had somebody who said that, or maybe you guys heard this too, that the student section had the parents' financial information being asked in it.
Yes.
I mean, that's just crazy to think about that. Where that would be really super crazy is if it's a divorce situation and the other parent doesn't want to have that information disclosed. But anyway, just know this, it's part of the reason why they shut the FAFSA down other than certain hours over the weekend. They are still working on this thing, and they're not working on it, unfortunately, during off hours. You'd think they'd work on it from 12, to say 6 in the morning, 12 midnight to 6, but they're not. They're working at it during prime time hours. So it's especially on the weekends, does limit your access to it, but at least you're able to finally say that. Congratulations on doing that. That's a big deal.
Is it
Chuck?
good to wait to withdraw from grandparent 529 if you have to file the CSS? Is the 529 reported on CSS? Yeah, it's gonna ask what your, I'm gonna take a swing at this. It's a little vague to me, but, that is always gonna. All right, so you don't have to report grandparent assets. You only report assets owned by the parent and the student when they ask. The CSS profile may still count it as untaxed income in the following year. So depending on that school, it's not going to be that same case for public schools, state universities. So again, it's going to depend on the school you're going to. Let's see, if it's good to withdraw from it, if you have to file the is it good to withdraw? Yeah, I don't know. I think I answered that, but guys, anything you would change?
On the
That's
CSS, I
it.
know they do have a question asking if the student is expecting to receive help from other family, friends, etc. So I think that's
Yeah,
part of
that's
the
true.
problem.
Yeah, I've got the 24-25 slides. Let me open it up and take a look at it too and see if that provides some. You guys can go on, and if I
right.
find
So I guess that's me. Follow-up question to previous question, which Dan answered, about students not being able to sign the FAFSA form after parent submits the application. Colleges won't receive the FAFSA information until the first week in February, and students can't sign the form before it's processed. What should we do if colleges have FAFSA deadlines on January 15th and February 1st? Will they deny aid? Do you expect me to write an email to every college financial aid department explaining our situation? I've seen a lot of notices come through from my clients that have January 15th FAFSA due dates. My guess is that those are more suggestions than due dates, because the schools simply will not get the information on January 15th. My feeling is that schools who are saying that are wanting you to just get it done, so that when they do get the information from the Department of Education, they can, they have as many students having it already completed as possible, so they can get going on their part of the process. So I don't expect any schools to deny aid based on that personally. Explaining our situation.
No,
Okay.
I would say if you're worried about it, contact the financial aid office at the college and just make them aware of what happened when you tried to do it. Look, they're aware that there's issues going on with the software. And by the way, there is no way, back to what Rinda said, there's no way that the colleges are going to be able to hold up to those deadlines other than what she said about getting them done, because they can't control that data. We're hoping they're going to get the data by the end of January, aren't we? That's the
That's a
thing.
good point.
Okay. Could no financial need potentially be seen by merit committees and impact their decision to direct the merit dollars elsewhere? No, I don't think so. I mean, look, you have to understand there's a difference between need-based aid and merit-based aid. I mean, colleges are going to make their merit decisions based on the merit of the student, based on their academics, based on the talent that they have, based on their athletics. That's what is defined as merit aid. And those should have no bearing based on your financial need. Financial need is grants versus merit aid is scholarship monies. So two totally different opportunities there when it comes to the money.
And I will say if you get on the financial aid and merit aid pages of all the schools that you're applying to and start reading the details of how they offer merit, how you what am I trying to say? Read the details of the merit aid. Some of them will say, this scholarship is partially dependent on merit and partially dependent on need. Like there are some kind of hybrid scholarships out there where they are looking at both need and merit, and in most cases, they'll tell you that right there on the scholarship application. But a lot of just pure merit aid, like Dan said, is truly just based on merit because schools have different goals. They need to get a diverse student population, and they have different reasons for giving merit aid than need-based aid to attract different kinds of students, etc. So in most cases, it's totally separate. Does that mean is it my turn again? I'm now
That's Chuck's
confused.
turn.
I'll go. Yeah. All right. So, am I on which one? Is it when is the best time to start visiting with College Aid Pro about merit and need-based
Yes.
offers?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
it.
our student is a senior in high school. We are starting to get merit offers from the admitted colleges, all early action. Should we wait until after we receive all financial aid letters? We'll also include need-based offers based on the CSS profile and FEFS information, and then contact College Aid Pro with merit and need-based offers to determine if we should seek a revised offer from the college. So, I think there's a two parts to this answer. One is you're getting that information. I would say go ahead and put it into MyCap. Screen share. So as you get that information, you can kind of go into translate and compare and upload the awards, and on the affordability, you can put in merit-based awards. So I think you'll want to be putting it in, and when you're there, then you will start to see, if you scroll down, is your award higher than expected or lower than expected? And that will start to give you some insights to that process. In terms of reaching out, the earlier you start, the better, but if you don't have the information, we're not going to be very effective in helping you. So, I'll defer to Dan and Renda if they have different opinions, but, on the merit stuff, if you got it from the Office of Admissions, we can probably give you some guidance there. But if you want to compare those to someplace you might get need-based financial aid, you're going to have to wait till you get that award letter in probably March or around spring break. Dan, Renda, anything else to add on that?
I mean, other than by default this year, financial aid offers are going to come late, folks. Just get ready. These financial aid offices are freaking out because they're trying to figure out when they're going to get the data that they need so they can craft their financial aid offers so that then they can deal with the families that are going to guaranteed come back and appeal, and just the pressure cooker it's going to go on. The traditional May 1st deadline might get kicked to June the 1st, just with everything that's going on this year. So just realize they know that there's a lot going on out there. We're just going to have to see what happens.
Yep. Okay. So let's see. The next question is, where do I find the student aid index from last year? If you're going to need to log in to your FAFSA account, and I'm actually trying to log into mine right now to tell you exactly Do either of you guys know exactly where to find that on there?
Usually, so at the first page of the FAFSA, there's the school year, right? It'll say 24-25 or 23-24. My instinct says you would click on 23-24 and then the SAR would be available under that specific section, I guess. I don't know how to describe it. I apologize. I can't tell you the exact click sequence, but I definitely know you'd have to click in the previous year's FAFSA if you completed it.
All right, I'm looking now. If I find it, I'll come back to that.
I'll take this one unless you were gonna do it, Dan. I don't know when I'm supposed to go. I'm all out of
Yeah,
sorts.
I'll take it. So I just keep us in sequence for Linda, to you for going here. If one parent has retired, should we still do the FAFSA? Absolutely. There's really no reason not to. You just have to remember this. Your story about being retired is all a matter of timing. You know, colleges are going to let you know, hey, congratulations on retiring, but it hasn't been long enough since you retired to know exactly what you're going to do and what your financial situation looks like. This comes up every year, you know, where families are saying, hey, I just retired. Well, they take that into consideration. Well, you can definitely have a conversation with them, but don't be surprised if they come back and say, well, you need to give us 6 months, you know, at least 6 months of showing what your now budget situation is for us to even consider it, which means it's not going to be there for the fall semester. It maybe will come in for the spring semester, or at least for the following year, depending upon how dramatically your family income has been impacted by that retirement.
Are there questions on the new FAFSA that are not required similar to the CSS form? There are a few you can skip, but not very many. I think I've only had one or two that I've been able to skip. Do you guys know? Have you done a hard count on the ones you can skip?
The only thing I noticed was the questions about like race and ethnicity and stuff.
Yeah, everything else is required. And they'll stop you if you don't finish it.
Yeah.
They'll kick you back and say you forgot to do something.
All right. I logged on. I couldn't see the link for the FAFSA seminar. This is my third time on that one. I love it. Let's see. Did we label it this time? The
Yeah.
link.
I just reposted it again in the chat.
Check in
Oh,
the chat, folks. Check in the chat.
all right. Well, I will do the next one since that was a gimme. Do you know why IU decreased its merit money is Dean, i.e. Dean Scholarship? Your website anticipated it, and I'm sorry, and was correct based on talking to friends and seeing my child's award. He has a 4.65 weighted GPA and 1500 SAT. Do you know why IU decreased its merit money? I do not. Does anybody?
Nope, no idea.
Yeah, I mean, schools make changes from year to year. Here in Texas, Baylor was known for having some automatic scholarships. And 2 years ago, they switched them from being automatic to kind of more at will or competitive. So schools' business models change depending on the year.
So next question, this one's pretty easy. My daughter is currently a junior and will be graduating in 2025. When should I complete the FAFSA? So the key is that you won't even start working on it until the fall. We hope it's the fall of 2025 of your student's senior year. However, we can't guarantee you that it's going to be October the 1st, November the 1st, December the 1st. It just depends. You know, ideally, it's going to go back to an October 1st, which, by the way, just so that you all know, that only went into effect in 2018. Prior to that, it actually was December the 1st, January the 1st is when people could start working on their financial aid forms, the federal system. So we're just going to have to see how that all shakes out. But do not start working on it now because you are working on a FAFSA that would be for the 2024-2025 school year. And don't start working on it prior to when they go live with it in the fall, or you will be applying for financial aid for the spring of your student's senior year in high school.
Last year, my daughter was only allowed a guaranteed student loan of 2,400 instead of the full 5,500. Her school, community college, said since she had a high EFC, she could only be given the amount to cover tuition, which she had wanted the full amount to help with housing expenses, but they denied it. Is that correct? I thought you could always get the full 5,500 regardless of your EFC. The first thing that comes to mind to me is they split the loan by semester, right? Like you get half first semester, half second semester. So that sounds like it could be a possibility in this case. Dan, Renda, do you guys have any other thoughts or
I mean, it's possible that the COA of the school just wasn't enough to guarantee more than the 2,400 that they offered her.
I mean, so if it's a community college, most likely there's no
No
room
housing.
afford.
no housing? Yeah.
So
And that's unfortunate because you're right. I mean, you've lost out on the use of the other money. But as Chuck said at the beginning, it's a use it or lose it, unfortunately. And the school, as in this the case, determines how much you can actually receive.
okay.
All right.
I did not have the, oh wait. I did not have the asset box as a parent. And okay, so this question is referring to, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you can write in, but I believe if I'm interpreting this correctly, it's, someone's filled out the FAFSA. They were not asked to state how, the value of their assets. And it's not the first time that I'm hearing that from a parent. We've heard about other cases. It's not the norm. There is a provision that if your income falls below a certain level, you don't have to state your assets, but we've been hearing that even people whose income was above that level have not seen that box on their form. So all I can say is it's most likely a glitch. And lucky you. I don't know if they're going to come back and ask those families to give that information when they figure out that's what that happened or not. Do you guys want to offer anything? I mean, I don't know exactly why it's happening. So
I'd ask if you got an SAI out of it or an estimated SAI. I might tell you a little more.
Right, because that would be based on income alone. That's a really good point, Chuck. And here's the other thing. You're right, Renda. It could be that in the future, families that didn't have this question suddenly get a nasty surprise, like, we're sorry, but we're missing information that you've got to provide to us. And suddenly it's assets for the kiddos and assets for the parents if it's been missed. It wouldn't shock me that some of that stuff happens, but because there are 15 million people completing FAFSAs, I hope that they're going to give families a little bit of grace this round through, because it's sure not their fault that those things were left off, but we're just going to have to see.
Yeah.
Okay, what's a good amount of time to give yourself to fill out the FAFSA before a deadline? I ask because I have an appointment with someone at CAP on January the 18th to discuss their small business, since the FAFSA has changed this year, but several of the priority deadlines for my daughter's colleges are 2/1. So you still have time. You need to know that. That's the beauty part about this delay. Again, what's going to happen is the colleges are not even going to get any of the data points until at least the end of January. That's what we've been told right now, which means they won't even be able to start on financial aid offers until sometime in February. And it's just going to be a big process for them. So meeting with one of our CAP experts to help you on the 18th should be plenty of time for you. Assuming that you guys are meeting on a day when you can actually log in and work on it, that type of thing. But we're sending nothing but positive vibes your direction. It's going to go okay for you. Okay.
okay. Let's see. Johns Hopkins financial aid deadline is January 15th. Is it safe to submit FAFSA now with all the glitches in the system? Yeah, I mean, again, we can't guarantee there's not going to be a glitch, or that they might not come and ask you to provide some more some more information based on some glitch that you may have experienced, but I would say there's no reason to wait longer to fill it out. If you experience a glitch, most likely, hundreds or thousands of other people will have experienced that same glitch, so you'll be in good company. And that's why everyone's just going to have to be patient with the process this year.
When a school says they meet 100% of need, is there a way to know that it will be grants or loans? Do most schools meet need using mainly grants that don't need to be repaid? So I'll share my screen. Actually, every school has a different business model. So some school will supply 100% of need via grants. Some will be, down into the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70%. You can always Google whatever school and common data set. And within that data set, it generally tells you what percent they meet with loans or grants. I would, it's not available in the CAP tool, I don't think, but I'll share the screen and we'll take a look. So if we look at Auburn, you go to financial aid. You can see total need met is 55%, but it doesn't say what percent they meet with grants. Since they have a grade A, I would guess you could probably go to their website and it will probably tell you if they meet it with grants or loans. If the school had a transparency grade of C or D or F, that's probably not going to be as clear. And then, like I said, your common data set would be the next logical place to check.
All right, guys. That's all the questions. We've got a few more minutes before we get to the top of the hour. So if anybody else, we got another one. Yeah, go ahead and get your questions in now. Okay. Oh, Dan, I think it's your turn.
Okay. Okay. Is it okay to use IRS quick sale value for business net worth? Well, yeah. I mean, we're absolutely, suggesting something similar. I mean, look, it depends. Do you have a business? Do you have a building, excuse me, that you're going to be selling? What does that look like? What's the value of the other assets, the tangible assets that you have, and all those types of things. The thing that's kind of crazy about this whole business valuation thing is it's 100% based on or on the honor system. I mean, it's based on what you think your business is worth. Now, we're here to tell you that you should be honest with the numbers because we don't want to see you behind bars or paying a fine or any kinds of things like that. But you do also need to at least consider if you were to take your business and try to sell it to somebody tomorrow, what are you going to get for it? Do you think you're going to be able to get top dollar? I mean, if it's an in-demand business, if you've got all kinds of people hounding you to buy your business, that's a different story. But the vast majority of businesses are something that it takes time to be able to unload them. And sometimes it takes, part and parcel where you're selling off particular pieces of it. So, just use your best effort there. And maybe you're going to have to reach out to your accountant for an evaluation. If you got a sizable business, you ought to have that anyway, right? For all kinds of reasons, but that also may come into play to figure it out. Any other comments, folks?
Not from me.
Okay.
We got somebody asking if they can watch the recording offline. So you have to be on the meeting to ask your questions. I will say though, if you have FAFSA questions, go ahead and join the webinar. If you're just joining us, if you look in the chat, there is a link to a webinar happening tomorrow that you can sign up for, and also watch the College Aid Pro website. We will be posting sometime in the near future, I can't say when, the line by line for the FAFSA. But I'll go ahead and take the next question there. Do you know if they generally give more weight to assets or to income to determine need? Well, there's a formula for that, and definitely it's the income that is assessed more heavily against you, basically, for your student aid index. So income, it's what is like roughly
20 to 45%.
yeah, 20 to 45%. Assets for parents is 5.64% or something that gets assessed. So yeah, income is the big driver. All right, what, Chuck?
Is it me? For high income earners, does FAFSA add any value submitting before admission, or would it negatively affect? I may ask my man Dan to chime in here. I think there are some schools that are probably need aware in the admission process. I don't know how many of them there are in the greater universe of schools. So some schools, it could definitely impact you. As a general rule, I would say, you probably want to finish and submit it unless you know it's a need aware school, and then you could do it after you've been accepted or not. But Dan, anything to add there?
Well, I would just say this, if you're a high income family and you've run your MyCap account, then you know what your student aid index is for both the federal and the institutional. And look, if your SAI is higher than the price tag associated with any of the colleges that your student is applying to, then you might as well just wait to submit the FAFSA. Just understand that the reason you're doing it at that point is if you intend to take out federal loans. Even with a high income, you may still not have the assets just laying around to pay for your son or daughter to go to college. And if that's the case, then completing the FAFSA could be a great decision because of the lower interest rates that you can traditionally get there. Understanding, of course, there's a limited amount that your student can take out in their own name compared to what the parents can take out as Parent Plus loans. So just keep that in mind. And yeah, I mean, it's possible that a college could indeed count that against you. If you're high income and high need, meaning you really do have a financial need type of situation. So, but it's interesting. I've had some people sometimes with a high income that decide to go ahead and do the FAFSA just to kind of send a shot across the bow saying, hey, bring it on, man. We can afford you. So it just depends.
All right, we'll try to get a couple more in here. When the FAFSA email says log into studentaid.gov to provide your signature on a new transaction in order for us to calculate your SAI, when they say new transaction, let's see, when they say new transaction means new application or just an edit to an existing FAFSA application, any clue? I haven't seen this.
No clue.
So,
So call here. I hate to say it, but call the FAFSA hotline.
I mean, I guess I would say you should know to some extent, right? Did you make a change to your FAFSA? I don't know anybody who's successfully been able to make changes yet. Do you guys?
No.
So, the only thing I can think of there is maybe if somebody deleted the FAFSA and started over. I don't know. But yeah, I would think you guys would have, whoever submitted it would have a better idea on that than we would. Income is from tax return 2 years prior. Is that the same for assets or for the current college year? Income is the prior year tax return. You're absolutely correct. Assets are at the time you're submitting that application. So yeah, you would be looking at your most recent statements to fill out the asset information.
Okay.
Can I take this last one?
Sorry, no, you take that one, Dan.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you why, because Miami of Ohio is very close to me. I'm about 45 minutes from there. So it says SAT 1550. That's fantastic. GPA 4.8. In-state, Miami of Ohio offered $13,000 scholarship. My CAP projected 19. I believe CAP needs to update the school scholarship info. Well, let me kind of give you a little side note on that. You have to know something. Remember, and Renda said this clear from the beginning when she was giving our disclaimer. We were giving you projections, folks. And you want to know something that's the hardest part about our projections? Schools change the rules. And so just because we've got the most accurate that we had at the time doesn't mean that a school like Miami, which by the way, they're going through some financial challenges. For those of you who don't know, they had a deficit that was going in. In fact, they eliminated some of their majors. But because of that, it also could have impacted the merit scholarships that they gave out this year. So it's just hard. I mean, you have to remember, we're dealing with almost 4,000 colleges and universities that are constantly reworking their formula as to what they have to do to give money away to entice students to come to their campuses. And so you've got a dynamite student here. Unfortunately, colleges do change the rules. It's happened, more than a few times that they do that. So believe me, we do our very best. Our data scientists are out of this world trying to keep up on it all the time, but they're humans. And, we have to deal with also the humans on the other side, which are the colleges and what they do.
And with a student of that caliber, you might have a potential for an appeal down the road, a merit-based appeal, depending where.
With
No?
Miami, I wish I could tell you Miami is a tough one. Miami does not like to even hear the word appeal or negotiate or anything else like that. They don't. I wish they did, but they don't. So
Yeah.
All right,
Good to have you on the
everybody.
call, Danny.
That takes us to 8 o'clock. Thank you for joining us, everyone. I enjoyed this. Thank you to my two fabulous co-hosts, Dan and Chuck. Have a good month. We'll see you next month. And yeah, if anybody has any questions, know that you can always, sign up for hours. If you have deeper questions you need to help with, you can go in MyCap and sign up to work with one of the pros for that. All right.
yeah, talk to an expert. Best of luck, everybody. Here's to a great 2024. And also those I'm crazy FAFSAs.
Yep. Bye.
Bye, folks.